What's up, boys and girls? This is Black and Yellow Movies. We're here to do another independent movie review. Today we did The Lost City of Z.
Or The Lost City of Zed, which actually inspired a pop culture icon in Indiana Jones. The Lost City of Z follows real-life English explorer Percy Fawcett. In the early 1900s, he's tasked with making a map for the British government. While he's there, he finds remains that could lead him to an ancient, undiscovered civilization, which he calls the Lost City of Z.
The environment's brutally difficult. The journey may well mean your life, but you could reclaim your family name.
So The Lost City of Z, we loved this movie.
It was an enjoyable film. Definitely.
And one of the things I really liked about this movie is that it was set in the 1900s. It was a time period piece.
Yeah, it was, you really felt like you were, in that era.
Yeah.
Not just in the moment. Because there's a lot of movies where I see, and you can clearly tell it's a stage.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even if they're on a back lot, but they'll take a street that is otherwise modern and kind of dirty to make it look like it's early 1900s. But this one, I really felt like it was. And I'm not sure if it's because we're in a part of the world where a lot of that historical structure is reserved, like in England, and then, some of it is set in the jungle as well. So that just kind of pervades time on its own. But you have like the costumes that they were wearing, the hats and everything. And it really evoked the
Another thing that we really liked about this movie was the acting and the casting of the main characters and some of the side characters too. The main character, played by Charlie Hunnam.
Yep.
He does an incredible job. You might know him from Sons of Anarchy.
Yep.
Pacific Rim.
He also did King Arthur this year as well, the Guy Ritchie film.
And he plays such a great lead for this.
Yeah,
he carries the entire film.
He definitely does. And I heard a couple people kind of talking about his accent in Sons of Anarchy. It wasn't very American. It wasn't what he tried to portray. He's a television actor. He's all this and that. He really shows us in this film that he can carry a movie.
Yes.
Like, he's a leading man. It's a subdued kind of regalness to him. It's an English film, so it has that, regal demeanor, like kind of be a gentleman kind of. But he adds a little flavor to it of his own, and it's just so refreshing to see that, a television star go to movies and be successful and do really well in that field as well.
Robert Pattinson, who you may know from
everybody knows.
Harry Potter. He dies in Harry Potter.
He dies in Harry Potter. He does. It's the Goblet of Fire, right?
It's one of the eight movies. But yeah, that's what he's most known for.
That's what he's most known for, aside from Twilight. This film, he does phenomenal.
Yeah. He's
great in this film. The acting isn't overdone. It just seems very sincere and very just technical, but fluidly technical. It's just... You don't feel like they're acting at times. You just kind of go, okay, I'm interested in this story. These characters are portrayed really well. Yeah. I want to see more of this kind of back and forth. And like I said at the beginning, the cast, they're great in this. Yeah. Sienna Miller plays Percy's wife in the movie. Goes by the name of Nina. Now, Nina, not given a whole lot of screen time, which I think that's one of the things I wanted to see more of. But what she's given, she does well. She plays the strong wife. Throughout the film, Charlie Hunnam, Percy has to go back and forth, between England and the, Amazon.
Yeah, because he's trying to find the Lost City of Z.
He's trying to find the Lost City of Z.
Multiple trips. But every time he goes on each trip, he has to leave his wife, Nina.
Yeah. And, you really get to see her in her element, when he comes back. She's still strong. She's still kicking on. They're having 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kids, and then she keeps the family intact when he comes back. Now, they have their struggles, but she carries the role with such a grace.
So like we said, he has 1 kid at first, he has a second kid, and then he ultimately has 3 kids in this movie. Now, the first kid he has grows up to be, a young teen towards the end of the movie. And he's played by Spider-Man, Homecoming.
Oh, snap.
Tom Holland.
Boom.
And that's his kid, and his kid, he grew up without his father being around. His father's always out looking for the Lost City of Z.
Yep.
So he's furious.
He's furious. There's a small, not even small, like there are parts of this film where Tom Holland shows the resentment for his father constantly leaving. He doesn't have that kind of manner that his mom carries. He's on the opposite side where the mom continues to try to stay strong. You can clearly tell that Tom Holland's like fed up with it. He's like, no, he's like, I just want like my dad here. Like, what are you giving? Like, are you giving more to the British government or to yourself? Like, where does your loyalty lie? And I thought that was brilliant how they did that. You know, like it wasn't a lot of it, but what they gave you kind of got that insight of a family in turmoil. I thought it was good. So at the beginning during the synopsis, we explained that Percy Fawcett in The Lost City of Z was one of the sole kind of inspirations behind the character Indiana Jones. And most of us have seen Indiana Jones. I mean, he's a huge pop culture, icon through cinema and just, culture in general. Those films are very glorified. Yeah. They're, huge adventure films and, they kind of just...
It's action-packed.
Action-packed, nonstop, 2 hours of just on the edge of your seat, just suspense. But this film is on the flip side of that. And I loved how they gave us, over 2 hours of just this honest portrayal of what an adventure really is. The struggles of being in an unknown terrain. The pitfalls of not having enough supplies, falling ill to diseases, or, sometimes even, like witnessing death, unexpectedly. The fact that they incorporated all this real honesty into a film that could have easily been another Indiana Jones action film.
There's a lot of politics that went behind all of his adventures, and they show that. They show a lot of. There's a scene where he's debating with a bunch of like other politicians and other people, a part of this British group that would be the ones that are behind the funding behind his adventure or his expedition. Right. And I personally thought that was a really weird scene. Just like
it was an interesting scene because I'm like, is this court or is this just like?
But this is how court is done in Britain, right?
Like maybe in the early 1900s it was.
But this is a bunch of people and they're just like roasting each other. Like he's standing in the front and people are just like, if he roasts another guy, everyone's like, oh! And I was like, oh, good point, sir.
Good point, sir. And then it's just like, and then the one guy who's also an explorer, he's like, I endorse him, and it's just like, wait, that's it? That's all I gotta do? Like,
well, what's funny is like they're not like actual, roast. They're like British roast, like, sir, your crumpets are not dry enough. It's like, oh! Everyone's going crazy. But I was like, this is how court was done in Britain. So we love this film, but there were a couple things that we disliked. One of the things that I disliked was that now this movie sets up very well. He's going on multiple journeys to, achieve his goal, his lifelong dream to find this city that no one else has found before. Yep. So you have the MacGuffin there for him to find. He's leaving his family. That's set up too. They show that he's leaving 3 kids behind. Yep. He's leaving his wife behind. Yep. And the emotional pull and the emotional tug of war that he goes through to, go for his dreams or, raise his kids and his family who he loves. And that's all set up well. The only problem is that I don't feel like they really had enough scenes that really showed the emotional, the emotional hardships that he had to go through. Right. Or also the negative emotional effects that were laid upon his family and his kids. Like you don't really see them crying.
You get a couple glimpses here and there, but it's kind of matter of fact. You don't really like feel the pain. No. You don't really harbor any kind of ill feeling towards him, and you don't really feel bad for his wife. It all feels very convenient when he comes back. There's, like I said, there's a couple scenes here and there, mostly with, the one with Tom Holland was really great. But other than that, like, I feel like, you're leaving your kids, your wife, people you devoted your life to have your family name represented in the highest circles of society. And it just didn't feel like there was much to sacrifice.
I think what they could have done better is they could have added a couple more cutscenes. Now, there were cutscenes in this movie that were really good.
Yeah, they did well.
Great transitions. I'm just saying, I think there should have been some more cutscenes where they show these kids growing up without him and this wife, like how much she has to struggle without him. And
like she would really be that happy that he's back or that understanding when he goes.
Yeah, just so understand. Like this is like the perfect wife.
Right? Yeah. And it's just like I don't even know if I want that kind of perfect wife. Like you're too convenient for me.
I want a girl.
Give me something. Like let me throw back with something. And we didn't get any of that.
All right. So for our final ratings, I give this a strong 7.5. It's a very solid movie. Everything was done very well. And like we said before, all the things that we like, the acting, the time period set pieces, the attention to detail, but just missing a little bit more of the emotional pull and also the tug of war, like I said, between dreams and between the family. If they would have done that, I would have given a much higher score, but I recommend seeing this film.
Definitely. I'm going to go with you on that one. I'm doing a strong 7.5, 7.6. I'm not going to split hairs here, but same exact thing. It's a strong film. Like, it's done really well. There isn't much to really detract from its quality, but you know, like the dreams versus, you know, practicality, that's the one thing that kind of hurt it. But it's not to the point where it's still not enjoyable. You still enjoy the film, but that is one thing, like Ken said, it would put it over the top. But I would definitely recommend this film because it is in its own right an adventure film, and it is a biography as well of somebody who inspired a big, huge pop culture icon. So it's just cool to know that, you know, this is steeped in, you know, a lot of history, and not just British history, but American history as well.
This movie is rated about 88% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yeah.
Metacritic, I forgot how much it is.
Metacritic's about 78, so
78.
it's a solid.
Hey,
yeah.
when Metacritic gives you anything above a 60,
Yeah,
that's probably a good movie.
Because they're going like by specific numbers. Like
Yes.
Rotten Tomatoes is just okay
If it's good,
or bad.
Positive.
Yeah,
Bad.
yeah. Rotten, you know, so
Yeah.
78 on Metacritic, that's solid.
yeah. So check it out. This is Black and Yellow Movies with another independent film review. Lost City of Z. Go watch it. Comment below. Subscribe, please. And that's it. I'm just going to sign out. See ya. What's up, boys and girls? We're here for another movie review. We saw War of the Planet of the Apes,
War the Planet of the Apes.
the third installment of this great, hopefully, trilogy.
Yeah, let's hope it's a trilogy.
I thought it was really good.
I thought it was awesome.